morning, Stephen.
Jeff, good morning. How are you, sir? Coming back this week for another episode of Two Fun Uncles.
Hi.
I'm Shardy B, Chum Swanson. We've got resident DJ and Jeff coming to us live with open patio doors.
Yeah, you got nice out there.
It looks nice.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon if you're somewhere else.
Yeah. So, I guess this week, what all we had a couple newsworthy events this week. I think in the Discord and within the project overall, we have. What do you think, Jeff? We've got a lot of talk about the fork still. The fork.
Well, we finalized it, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's been confirmed. I think it's set on a particular block height, and based on the current block speeds, it's going to hit next month around the 15th.
Right. That's how forks work. You can only pick a block height because at a certain number, you're gonna do an update that at that block height you'll have a new operation, and we're going to bring in the Blake 2B Saya algo, and the chain will run the same, and the coins will work the same, and the miners will work the same, and storage will work the same. And the big difference is that the old Blake 2B miners will no longer, their algorithm and their work will no longer count towards block mining.
Right.
And this is being done because there's a bunch of these things that are old and aren't competitive and are overproduced and are in unknown hands. So, we always talk about with mining this 51% attack and control, wherein somebody having enough mining power can manipulate what they want. And I'm not sure that we've got there yet. Some people might argue that we don't know where they are, so that makes it dangerous. But no matter what, this mining, these hashes are not necessarily known or participating with the project. Some of them are actively disparticipating, if that's the word.
There's been issues getting into communication with them, and then we saw it, when we had that big price spike, that all of a sudden this huge amount of hash rate jumped on the network, and I think a lot of us didn't even know they existed. But apparently, there's some pretty big operations out there that are, able to and willing to jump on the hash rate, and that kind of creates a bit of a security risk. So I think it's a good move. I'm excited for it. We did see yesterday that a couple of those miners, I think, have already started going offline in anticipation of the fork. So we had a bit of a drop in difficulty. And I know, like for me, just with my two miners, I've gone from 6 to 8 SCP per day was kind of what was expected out of the SC Box 2. And that jumped up to about 12, almost 13 SCP for a 24-hour period. Which I think a lot of people were excited about. And I think that's kind of just a little taste of what's going to happen when the fork gets fully implemented.
No, absolutely. And I saw some screenshots that were being shared of the different mining pools dropping in hashes. An interesting one that was shared showed a very whipsaw effect. And you can see in the daytime, there was more hash, or opposite. In the daytime, there was less hash, and at nighttime, there was more hash. Like somebody is just turning on big banks of mining farms overnight when there's cheap electricity.
Right.
And, that's the way this game works, right? We like to think that this is a project owned by a corporation, yes, but it's using a publicly mineable algorithm. And these hardware were manufactured and sold legally. No one is scamming anybody. No one has any obligation. No miner has any obligation to mine the coin. They have no obligation to hold it. They have no obligation to run their miner consistently. But in that is where we're finding this bit of either opportunism is probably the best word, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And you can't really hate people for wanting to make a profit. Like that's sort of the name of the game with this whole thing. But I think it's a really good move on the project to do kind of what's in the best interest of the security and integrity of the blockchain. So yeah, happy to see it happen. David, if you want to throw up my screen share, I'll go ahead and kind of run over sort of what I'm seeing on block rewards and stuff like that for what happened yesterday. So right here. Yeah. So last 24 hours on my two SC box twos, we're almost at 24 SCP, which based on the lower figure of what I was expecting, that's almost double. And kind of the reason behind that, this is our KPI. If you go to the SC Prime website and you go to the KPIs and indicators, this is hash rate and difficulty. And you can see that last 24 hours, we've dropped down pretty significantly. We've got this big wick to the downside, as they say. So that's kind of what's behind those block rewards going up. There's fewer ASIC miners on the network, and that's just what happens as the hash rate goes down.
So Stephen, quickly, let me say here that chart. I mean, we always want charts to go up and to the right. That chart going down is not a bad thing. We may be losing some hash rate, but we are planning on losing some hash rate. It's like losing some weight.
Right. Yeah, we're losing some baggage. We're losing, we're exchanging these big S11 farms for what I think are people that are actually really committed to the project. You got people like, Brad and Mike from Helium Street, and you got all these different people, even our own producer, David, everybody's buying up these SC Box 2s because they're okay with spec mining. They're okay with, the low reward structure just to be a part of it and just to support the project and support the network. So I think end of the day, that's the kind of people that we want participating in the consensus mechanism. So that's kind of the trade-off that we're going for with seeing the hash rate drop.
And then as we move past this fork and the S11s are forked off, these SC2 boxes will be seeing more like we're seeing right now, right? We're going to have less hash rate, and so the hash available will be more. It'll be paying you more, which is putting it. We could say you're putting it into safer hands, or we could say you're putting it into community hands. Like miners are still allowed to sell it. That's not the problem.
Yeah. And while you're talking about SC Box, this is an interesting thing. I actually just found this out this morning and maybe it's been like this for a few days. People were saying Gold Shell is actually sold out of the SC Box 2 on their main website. If you wanted to buy directly from Gold Shell, they're sold out. There are a few vendors where I got mine is this site on Newegg, but you can see the price has gradually gone up. I think when I bought my first one, it was around $470, $480. And they're getting up to $530 right now, which kind of tells us this is my first round with ASIC mining, but I've, from reading other people in the community, when price starts to go up like this, it means one of two things, right? It means that they're running out of supply of the miners, which a lot of times means that maybe there's a new product that's coming out, a new miner that's, gonna kind of replace some of the old ones that are getting kicked off the hash rate. Is that kind of your understanding?
Well, they've been sitting around for a while, right? We haven't seen an update for a bit on these miners as I understand it. And also, like you said earlier, you went from mining 8-9 coins a day to mining 12 coins a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 25% increase, right?
Yeah.
The price of the
huge.
box only went up 7% or whatever math, Sparky. So
yeah, 7.
It makes a lot of sense here that the miner will go up, and I'm gonna guess that from within the community, anybody who is established mining and has heard that the S11s are they're not going to get bricked. They're just not going to be able to work on SU.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's not a lot of things that those miners do. That's another thing, right? there's not. I'm not sure, but there's not a ton of Blake 2B projects.
Not that I'm aware of. No, I mean you've got Siacoin, Us, Handshake. I think is compatible with it, but
Right. But
yeah,
what I'm saying is, like Sia's on the Blake 2B Sia, so
right.
so those S11s, they're in a sense of that they still work and they were efficient and they were just left running. It's kind of like, you're not going to update the plumbing in your house because it still works even though they're lead pipes, kind of thing. Eventually you gotta do a little bit of work, and that's what we're doing now. And so anybody that had a S11, like as soon as you think of the fork as like a legislation, right? The project is saying, as of this date, we are no longer doing this. Anybody that wants to be involved has to change.
Yeah.
Has to change their mind. You don't have to do anything with your X's. You don't have to do anything with your coins. I assume there will be an update that will get pushed before the fork, right? And everyone with a DIY is going to have to update because it's a different chain. You need to have the new software that tells you to go on the new chain at the new block height.
Which we just saw that happen with the SPFB split, and I mean, it was so smooth you almost didn't even notice that it happened. I think we lost a couple of DIY providers that were people that probably weren't paying attention anyway. Right. So I mean, all in all, I think you're hardly even going to notice that it happens.
Anything else you want to show us on your screen there, or should Davis punch us back up?
No, I think that's all. That's all I have for the. Oh, actually, there's one more thing, real quick. So a new version of the relayer came out. I don't have that pulled up for us today, but I did just go in this morning and check out the new console. Looks like there's a couple new features. Data center's a new thing. We always had this map, but now it's kind of listed a little differently. And now there's an invoicing tab. The billing screen has kind of changed around a little bit. Now we have invoices over here. Don't steal my credit card. But yeah, it looks like they've done a couple updates with the console. I'm assuming because within 8 days, I think, is when billing is going to go live. So anybody that has data on the network, you're going to start accruing charges for the data that you have stored. And I believe the rule that I heard is that it's locked in for a 2-month period. So once whatever data is on as of April 31st, you're gonna be paying for that data for a minimum of 2 months before it can actually be removed from the billing cycle, I guess. Which I'm excited for that. I think we all know that want to see some revenues get generated and see the network get used, and it's cool to see all this stuff getting fired up. So,
and then you still get your 50 gigs a month for free, so you don't have to. Yeah. Exactly. Worry about getting billed for everything. The other thing that I was playing with the new relayer. I installed it on a unsupported computer. Let's say that it started really nice. It's seemingly having some not responsive after a little while errors. That's fine. But we've added the whole the IAM module, which is access. So you can create buckets and access for different users, which is really cool. Henry and I talked about that a little bit on his call on Thursday. But yeah, so expect more from that. More on that from us in next week's video. Saturday mornings are
a little rough sometimes. Yeah.
All right, let's go on to this next bit here, Stephen. We have a special guest today.
We do.
Yeah.
David, throw up the other screen here. We have Helium Mike joining us today. Big time supporter in the community and YouTube content creator, master Helium node setup guy. Has like 45 SC Box 2s now, I believe.
Yes, I think he has 180 X's also.
I think so. So Mike, welcome on, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys having me on, but moreover, I really appreciate you doing this on Saturday mornings. It's I think it's great for the community and, great for the project in general.
It's hard on our wake up times, but it's still fun.
Absolutely. It's a good time.
So Mike, you've been in the SE Prime community for a couple months now or longer?
I would say probably goes back. I was pretty quiet at first, and probably more so just because I was trying to really understand what it was all about. I got pretty involved. Goes back to probably the early spring of 2022, really, is when I first started seeing it, kind of understanding it. And I was pretty quiet up until probably about June, where I eventually purchased 3 16 gig or terabyte, units, examiners. So that was really my initial jump into it, was just understanding it in the early spring.
That's fantastic. And now, Mike, you have a very unique infrastructure place in crypto, right? What was your big blow up here? What did you do that made this work for you?
Just going back to my Helium days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it really kind of goes back to, well, let me just set the stage just a little bit further back. I was an Amazon seller for quite a long time. And then I ran into some trouble with importing my products from China. That kind of like fizzled out for me. And so it was back when Helium was just getting started, and I stumbled onto it. I really wasn't a crypto enthusiast. I wasn't involved in it at all. I think that was really my getting my feet wet was with HNT. And so that was that kind of goes back to 2021, March of 2021, is I think when I really started getting involved with Helium. I used to produce a YouTube channel for a couple local doctors, and so I kind of had already understood the ropes of how YouTube worked and all that business, and getting yourself ranked on based on keywords and so on. But I think I was looking for something different, and I stumbled onto Helium, and so that just turned this into something really fast, is because I got involved early enough to where I got a couple videos ranked quite high, and I got a couple of them that went kind of viral. And then I got involved with Bobcat pretty heavily, and just from there, it just kind of exploded for me. And I found my niche with the people that were like me. I guess that's the best way to say it. I was really a noob at all of it. I really enjoyed teaching, and I enjoyed learning how the antenna systems for Helium worked. And I started to make videos on how to do antenna installations. As many different varieties of antenna installations that I could think of, I made a YouTube video for it, because everybody has a unique situation at home, right? Some people are in apartments, some people are in a ranch on the outskirts of town, so there's just all sorts of different variations. And so that seemed to appeal really well to people that were trying to get into some sort of a passive income opportunity like Helium was at that time. That it seemed to really kind of appeal to people, and kind of was history from there. And I didn't get a huge following. I got pretty decent. I think I'm sitting around 12,000 right now. It's gotten pretty slow, as everyone knows, the way Helium is right now.
I think
so
that's when I first saw you, when it was, I had gotten into Helium kind of like right before the price peaked. Like, I don't know what it had been, about 2 years ago. And I came across one of your videos where you were like setting up an antenna in a huge tree or something on your property. I saw that one. I thought your stuff was pretty interesting, because I was sort of similar, man. I don't have like a huge, tech background necessarily, but you get into these different quality of antennas, different quality of connectors and cables. And I always found your stuff really informative. So thanks for the content.
Absolutely. I was really glad to do it. It was a lot of fun. I got an opportunity to go out and went out to San Diego and installed one up on a mountain. And it was just a really neat experience to be able to get involved in that type of thing.
Yeah. So Mike, I got a question here.
Sure.
A thing that I really see, I didn't get involved in Helium because I came from the crypto side, and I was watching it. And the thing that really hit me with interest was how it reached out to, like you said, people like you, regular uh, homeowner, apartment dwellers that want a little piece of this network as they see it happen. And they really did they touched something, and it may have been touching with the stimulus checks. It may have been touching with locked at home and bored and wanted to try something.
Yeah.
Like it may have been the perfect time.
Yeah. I really think the way it connected with me was that it was functional. It was a functional project. It wasn't Doge. It wasn't, what was perceived as non-functional at the time. From a crypto standpoint, it was a functional thing that would serve some sort of purpose. And I think that's what appealed to me, and it appealed to people like me, to where I could put something in place, I could earn a passive income from it, and it was actually going to function in some way for the better, of something. And Helium, at the time was really touted as being something that touched all sorts of different industries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about sensors, and it was all about, your refrigerators, your Fitbits, your Lime scooters, your the water sensors on the farm. It was like there was all sorts of different applications, right? At least that was the way it was explained. And it still in some ways certainly is. I have a weather station on the roof of my house right now, a Weather XM station, and it talks right to my antenna, my Helium hotspot. So it's I'm actually performing a function at my home right now with the Helium hotspot. So yeah, I think that's what it is, Jeff. It was functional, and I think that's what led me to SC Prime. It was a functional project, and I think I hesitate obviously to call it a crypto project. Won't do that because it's not. It's a real company with a real purpose, and it's serving a need that's going to be much larger than what it is now in terms of data storage worldwide. So yeah, I think it's the functional aspect of it that really appealed to me.
I think to me that's going to be probably the first wave of real world adoption of crypto, right? I don't think it's necessarily going to be payment systems and recreating a new type of money for civilization or whatever, like a lot of people think Bitcoin's going to be. I think it's it's finding these products that operate on blockchain based technology, distributed technology that people can use at home, that businesses can use. And I mean, I didn't know. I knew diddly squat about the storage space and the cloud storage space before I got into this. And it's kind of, over a year or so, and just kind of hanging out in the Discord and talking with a lot of people that are way smarter than I am. I've kind of gotten a feel for how the space operates. And yeah, what are we looking at here, Jeff? There's
playing around a little bit with this camera.
There's real utility in this, and I think that's going to be the first projects that really hit, and that really the public looks at crypto in a different way. I think once a couple of these projects like that get off the ground. So
sure, yeah.
Here, guys.
You got it set up.
I don't know what's going on. No, listen. This is my segue question here. We talk about Helium being this gateway to the whatever we call it, we call it decentralized infrastructure, whatever we want to call it, and it also being this gateway to passive earning, right?
Yeah.
This idea, like hashing on your video card was this sort of passive earning when it was just your computer that wasn't running. It's like the SETI at home. It's like all the folding apps. There was this idea that you could contribute, and then blockchain put a currency to it, and then Helium builds on that, and SC Prime builds on that. A thing that I know. Listen, so I wasn't in Helium in about maybe 16 months ago. Steven and I we're talking about helium, and he said, "Oh, I have an old one or an unused one in a desk drawer," and he put it in a box and sent it over to me. And I'm like on the 7th floor with like a big line of sight,
Nice.
and I stuck it on the roof, and I literally made 30 cents in like 90 days.
Yeah.
And it was no pings because of saturation, right? Looking at those the hexes around me were like 16 to 24s and something like that. And it was just as far as everything could possibly see was oversaturated.
Yeah.
And I know that the SE Prime has talked about how it's a very mindful process right now about selling a ton more storage units until we put some data on those units. Yeah. And that's the thing that I saw with Helium, right? There was nothing going on those. Like you said, Fitbits and dog collars and fridges and weather FMs or whatever. But that data didn't materialize. That data isn't real. And I always had in my head thinking, well, Verizon's going to eat your lunch.
Right.
Verizon's already got towers on every building that they're paying a ton of money to maintain. And as soon as this pops up, they're just going to say, oh, yeah, we can do that too. And ours won't drop ever. And ours. So this is a question about what you see in SC Prime from a learning sense of having watched Helium do what Helium did. Now, what do you see? What's in it that SC Prime that makes you interested?
Well, I certainly appreciate the conservative approach to putting storage or making storage available for people to get involved. I think it's smart to have limited the XM miner, the purchase in the marketing of that XM miner. I know that we could have sold a lot more much earlier on, and so I think it was smart to somewhat limit that, and so that it's being built. The storage provider network is being built at the same rate as the data storage being sold. So I think that's great. That's a great approach. However, things work out with Helium long term, whatever, with 5G or whatever they end up going, however that ends up progressing, so be it. But in terms of SC Prime, that's the one thing I do appreciate is the rate in which we're trying to keep things in sync. They're not pulling ahead of the amount of data storage that we have available. So I appreciate that. And looking at the charts for future data and growth worldwide, it certainly appears to me that any decent size of that pie is going to be good for everybody.
Absolutely,
it's going to be good.
Yeah, because with Helium, you had kind of a frenzy, and I was part of that. Like, coin price was $30-$40 a Helium, and miners, you were waiting. People were waiting 6, 7, 8 months for orders to get fulfilled. You had all these third-party sellers that were promising orders that wouldn't come through, and like for me, one of the miners I bought, I spent $1,100 on a used Nebra. And it's all part of that hype, but then you look at what has happened to it since then. It's just been a gradual decline in price. A lot of the promises haven't been fulfilled. Helium blockchain went under, and I agree that SC Prime, Ken, the people behind it, they saw that happen, and they were like, okay, there's a way that we can do this, and we can do it different, we can do it better, and we can do it without creating this dynamic of it seeming like a scam. I mean, the whole team's very open about where we're at in the project, and there's very minimal amount of trying to pump the XM miners and trying to pump the coin price, and a lot of people will complain about that, but you have to understand why.
I think that's another pretty big part of this, is that the level of transparency that I've seen with the team up until now has just been pretty amazing. I mean, you never saw any of that with Helium, but that's another reason why I'm sticking around. I mean, one of the many reasons why I'm sticking around is because of the transparency of the project. I've got a little fleet of DIY units, and I've got some XA miners. And I'm really happy with my setup, and it's been fun and very informative. I've learned a ton just through the transparency of the team and understanding the roadmap. It's been really nice. It's been really interesting.
Do you have a way there that you can kind of, I see you have one EXA behind you. Do you have, I remember I think you did a submission to the outreach competition. You have a bunch of different DIYs going too, right?
Sure. Do you want me to go ahead and just do a quick shot of that? I could probably turn my camera and show you if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, let's see.
Let me see here. I got these all here right now, and I recognize that ideally you don't want all your eggs in one basket. I guess that's
right.
The best approach or the best analogy. But my Bloody Mary here.
Nice.
So yeah, these are the DIYs that I have. I like these little ATOP nukes. These are kind of nice. I get them on Amazon, and they're like $97, and they're already loaded with Linux. This is like really good for a DIY guy that doesn't know anything about Linux.
Yeah, that's nice.
Like I said, you can get them on sale for around $97. And so all of my DIY units here are all in hard drive enclosures. And they are all equipped with a 16 terabyte Exos. So everything I have is 16 terabytes. Every single one, including the little Mac Mini in the middle there.
That's a similar route that I went. I've got this little unit right here that's holding bananas right now. Yeah. I put 116 terabyte in it with the anticipation that eventually, you just keep throwing drives in it as you need to.
Right. And the reason why they're all different is because I really wanted to explore, not knowing anything when I got started. I wanted to explore this DIY world and understand what's the best setup. I had this idea that I could be figure out the best setup, but there really is no best setup. I figured that out because that's the kind of the cool thing about this is that, this B link right here, that's on a Oracle hard drive enclosure with a 16 terabyte that I bought with Windows that I wiped and I put Linux on. Works great. Works absolutely great. This ATOP nuke here on another Oracle 16 terabyte Exos. And these are all 80 terabyte capable. So I can expand all these to 80 terabytes. So they all have five drive bays. They all have 5. Yeah. Well, I think one of them has 4. I don't remember which one it is. Yeah. And then the Mac Mini on top of another Oracle hard drive enclosure. And then in the back there, it has the Yoda Master with that ATOP nuke on it.
The Mac Mini is actually the officially supported DIY provider of SC Prime Network.
Yeah, that's the only computer that I bought used, which was $130 or something on eBay. But a few of these hard drive enclosures here were also purchased used. But that Yoda Master in the back there, I bought that on Amazon brand new. But the point I was trying to make on these DIYs is that, you got to meet the minimum requirements for sure. And you may not want the hassle of wiping Windows and putting Linux on a little mini PC like this. But once they're all set up, they all function identical. There really isn't in this case. I mean, like I said, you got to meet the minimum requirements. And that's, published on the website. Unless
you're buying a computer from 2009, what I mean? The hardware requirements aren't anything too steep with this project.
No. And that's the thing. They all, like I said, I made a few mistakes earlier on and I love learning from mistakes. I had my storage folder set up a little bit goofy on a couple of them. And when I changed that over, I lost my contract, but they've slowly worked their way back up. So that the contract's back there again. But yeah, I'm, as far as the DIYs go, I'm happy I got involved in it. I got in on, they're all full licenses.
Yeah.
And I got in on the deal with Ian. So I got them all upgraded before October 31st, I think was the date. And so that SPF is is going to be coming here in a few weeks, I guess.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
One thing I'd like your opinion on this. One thing I've noticed is that, like, even with my Examiner that I've had 3 or 4 months, I think, I'm at a point. I only have one Helium hotspot set up now. I have one set up at my house. You know, it constantly earns a little bit, but I'm at a point now where my DIY and my Examiner both are actually outperforming the earnings on the Helium hotspot. So what do you kind of see on that with all your different DIYs? Is it getting to a point that it's actually pretty comparable, and that the DIYs and the SC Prime passive opportunity is actually going to fly past Helium pretty quickly, I think, right?
That would make for a pretty good video, I think, wouldn't it? Probably.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of getting to that point. You know, just quick calculations from my dashboard. If you count, you know, you add up your incentives, you add up your rent, you know, and then if you throw your ASICs on top of that, like I'm getting to a point where I have a pretty steady little trickle of SCP coming in.
Yeah, you know, in the Helium world, you can make a tiny little bit, and then you can make it a little bit better, and you can make not a lot better, but you can make a decent amount more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but since there's so much variation in the Helium community, I mean, it's a little hard to say for sure whether or not you're going to do better. I'd have to do the math on it, but I think there's definitely room to sit down and look at it and say, you know, what makes most sense right now in terms of an investment. You know, invest. You know, I think that makes sense.
So I got a thought on this.
Sure.
Here's a question that I've been building on this whole time. When you have a single physical location, your house, right? Your office, your grandma's house, the side of a mountain, whatever it is. You can effectively put one Helium miner there, right?
I've seen data recently where we're being productive with 3, but there is a possibility that you could do more.
If you have lines of sight and good angles and different stuff, sure.
Yep.
But in your basement right now, you have 7 Examiners. 7, right?
Yeah.
And you have, there's 16 times 3, you know, real Examiners, and there's 5 times 16 DIYs, and each of those DIYs can go up to 80, or maybe one can go to 64, or whatever the math was. And that's just based on 16 gig hard drives, right?
Yes.
If in a couple years 22s are cheaper, now you're at 100.
Yeah.
So that's the point, right? If Stephen, what you say is that you're about even on your operations right now, and we're still at the beginning of the data hockey stick, right?
Exactly. And
it's And then the second thing is Helium. My experience with Helium, right? Pointing it out the window, and there being hundreds of nodes within line of sight. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Each one of those is eating your lunch every day. Each one of those, you're lucky to get any ping other than like a beacon recognition, right? Like there's no data going between those nodes. There's no earning, but they're all eating your lunch. If somebody outside my window right there put a 64 terabyte Exa, right?
Yeah, you wave to him. Hi, friend.
I wave to him, but he's not going to take anything off of he's not going to take from my data. He's going to take part in the data with me, right? And by being here first, you have established your time in service. You've established your uptime. You've established all these things. So say we get to Helium, or when we get to Helium, 300,000, 500,000 nodes across the block and down the street, they're complementing you. They're not chewing up the earnings that you're getting, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point.
And that is like a massive difference to me. Because right now maybe you make $25 a month, right? But that's great. But as soon as that data doubles, you're making 50. But that data isn't doubling on Helium. There is
a significant difference. There's definitely a significant difference. And Helium is very dependent on how they decide to steer the entire network, right? With SC Prime, I think that there's a roadmap that's very obvious. It's very specific. The more data we put on the system, the more we earn. The early adopters, I think that maybe is a great message right now, is to get involved. Not financial advice, of course, but I think now is the time to get involved with SC Prime. Being an early adopter is a really great thing. And if anybody's watching this video 6-8 a year from now, it's likely that this is a very good time to get involved as well. So, I think this discussion is evergreen. I think, really, I don't think there's anything time sensitive. Although certainly right now is a great time to get involved. I undoubtedly think that's the case.
Yeah, I agree.
Another thing a quick thing about SC Prime, one more thing, is that while the nodes might be passive, right? You set them up, you buy an EXA, you plug and play, you put it in your closet and you forget about it. You have a DIY and you got to do your updates. You spend most of your time making sure that your uptime is good. And then after you realize how it works and you have uptime robot, you never look at the thing, right?
Yeah.
You check on the second of the month to see how much you made. If you're interested, that's it. But that's the passive part. But there's an active component too. There's the active part of using the cloud, right? There's the active part about like what Steven's been doing and backing up your own data to your own relayer. There's also the active part of talking to your father, sister, uncle, boss, and saying, hey, you use cloud data, don't you? You have backups, you have a business, you create data, your friend who does a bunch of photography, you talk to her and say, hey, what's your backup situation? And you might think that you're selling something and maybe there's a referral fee attached, which there probably is. I mean, maybe selling one friend, you're not going to make anything, but guess what?
No.
You're going to put data on the network.
Right.
And since you are the network, you're going to get some of that data, right? That's the thing you can't do with Helium. You can't, like, that bit of
No. That component doesn't exist from a Helium perspective.
And that's where the failure happens in my mind. Like, how can you have a network that everybody earns from but nobody does any work for? The work. It's the reason it went up in value is because you spend $1,000 on a Raspberry Pi and an antenna, and you stick it on your roof, and then you've sunk cost into it, and you're just clicking, right? It's mining a blockchain that doesn't do anything. It's catching beacons. With SC Prime, you can control, you can lead that data. I saw Henry say it today, talking to someone asking about the relayer. It's an active part in this network, not just a passive part.
Right. Yeah, that's a huge component. And, another aspect of all this is that there are a number of ways to get involved. There's the relayer side of it that you just spoke of. There's the data storage with just the Examiner and the DIY storage units. And then there's the third component, right? Which is the mining of it, which is talk about easy. Another new experience for Mike from Helium Street was ASIC miners. My experience with mining crypto is about 18 days now. That's my experience. I'd never done any of that before. And that was very easy also. And the one thing I like about it is that I feel like I'm contributing in another way to the project. I'm mining the SCP to contribute to the project. I feel good about doing it all as well. Not just that I'm looking to make money with it, but
you're helping to secure the whole blockchain operation and the whole consensus mechanism. And I'm kind of in the same boat. I did a little bit of GPU mining. I've done some CPU mining, but nothing with like actual rigs set up. I had a gaming computer that I would throw on a certain coin for a short period of time. But the ASIC mining is a whole nother set it and forget it kind of operation. They're pretty quick and easy to get rolling. And I've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
But what else did we have, Jeff? Do you have anything else? Should we open up the floor for some questions? I know last week we had some issues collecting audio from people that called in. I think we have that situated this week. So if anybody has any questions for Mike or any comments, anything like that, you're welcome to come up to the stage. And if not, we can probably close this out.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what David's morning is like. I think he has soccer practice or something in a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
But Mike, it's been a real treat talking to you. I know you and I have talked about a bunch of stuff in Discord, and
Yes.
I've peeked at your video, your Helium Street videos. It's there you have a great production quality to it. I really like that, and
good. And I hope to do more. I think I'm kind of closing here a little bit. I want to contribute to the growth of the SC Prime initiative. I want to continue to make content that's valuable to the community, but also reaches a new community. I want to make content that gets out there to try to promote all the positive stuff that's happening. And that's no easy task to try to reach those folks. Even the people in my Helium community have been a little bit fickle with jumping in on this. And I'm hopeful that I think that the more content that we push out there, the more of the algorithms that we're going to capture, whether that be TikTok, YouTube, or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that all of us that are on this call right now, share, like, and follow everybody's stuff. I think that's a message that should be given. Is that the more we all contribute and leave comments on folks on different postings, comment, likes, and shares, and just to really pump those algorithms, the better off we'll be. Even if it's just a little comment like "good stuff" or "thank you" or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything other than just something that gets the algorithm to perk up a little bit, regardless of the platform. We really need to start doing that more so that we can get ahead of some of these other projects that, for whatever reason, seem to have preference on the different platforms.
That community engagement really does make a big difference on getting your stuff visible and getting the views on the content and getting the tweets up in the ranks. And I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
So everybody watching, you have to smash something over
there. Oh, that's right. This is on YouTube, isn't it? Like and share here.
Over there. Tell your friends, tell the whole bunch, and Discord is a great community, but guess what? It's pretty insular. It's our community. People come there when they want to ask about how to do something. They don't show up. They don't hear about it by accident. They don't walk in and say, "What's this?" And if they do, they probably get some stick because that's part of it. But it's hard to run a business in a public forum. Sometimes it's maybe not the best bet to teach and program and troubleshoot, but it's a community, and that's what it's good for.
For sure. And so just a little selfless plug: go to the Helium Street YouTube channel, because it's going to have a lot of SC Prime content on it. Okay.
Yeah, I saw Brad. Brad was asking about your little Linux NUC. I believe you have a video. You have a video on there showing that complete setup, I think. So, Brad,
I do, and I'm gonna make another video because I've got another setup. I've got another NUC, and I've got another 16 terabyte hard drive and a little hard drive enclosure. So I'm gonna make another setup video for a DIY here pretty soon. So I'll probably collaborate a little bit with one of you guys to do this together, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. And so if it's not up there now, it'll be, or depending on when you're watching this, folks, it'll be available to watch.
It won't be there yesterday because we haven't made it yet.
It won't be up tomorrow, but it'll be up the next day. Great. So thank you very much, guys. Again, I really appreciate you allowing me to participate in this. I'm very thankful. and looking forward to collaborating and continuing to build this initiative alongside you guys. You guys have been great to work with. Thank you.
Well, thank you, buddy. Hope you enjoy your Saturday.
Yes.
And then what else? David, what's your time like? You want to take us back to the two of us? If you're still there, if you haven't gone to soccer practice already, hey, look at that.
He might have. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks again, Mike.
Oof. Sorry about my camera failing. I don't know what happened there. It just turned itself off.
Are you running? You're doing the cell phone? Were you doing the cell phone setup and the cell phone died?
It didn't even die. It just, the app quit. I don't know.
Huh. So yeah, I guess if anybody has quick questions, we can run through that, or
Anybody in the chat asking anything? Is anybody even here? It doesn't matter.
our friend Duke's in the audience. That's all that matters to me, really.
Yeah, I do.
Hi, Duke.
Well, on that note, why don't we go about our Saturdays? And next week we'll get that IAM module running on the relayer, one way or another.
Yeah, that would be fun. I need to install the new version as well, and kind of play around with that myself. So that'll probably be a Saturday, Sunday project for me.
There you go.
So. All right, fellas. Thanks everybody that stopped in. Thanks if you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. Follow everybody on Twitter. Drop any questions in the comment section, and we'll see you around next week.
Yeah, everybody. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, David. Thanks, Henry, for DJing and setting us up here. Thanks the whole SCP community for giving us something to outreach to. And thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too, Jeff. All right, we'll see you guys around.
All right.
All right. Ciao.